You know, we done boiled that old coffee up and got our drink, and one thing that goes well with coffee is sourdough cinnamon rolls. And we've had this old starter going, and to start this off, we just need 3 cups starter. And sourdough starter, ours is very simple. It's one of them deals that you can keep going a little while, or you can quit it in one day. It just needs to set about 12 hours before you use it. To that, we'll add a package of dry yeast, or 2 1/4 teaspoons. And go ahead and put the sugar in, which is a 1/2 cup in this recipe. Stir this up because the sugar and the yeast combined will break down the enzymes in the yeast and make it go to acting a little faster. So we'll mix this all up, let her set a minute till we can't see any yeast, and we'll go to town. Alright, this old yeast is pretty well dissolved. We can't see any more of it in there. We use 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil for 5 tablespoons. 2 teaspoons of salt. It doesn't call for any baking powder. The yeast, the oil, and the sugar, we'll get that mixed up a little more, and then we're going to add 3 to 4 cups of flour. I like to keep my cinnamon rolls and my biscuits very moist, so we always start out with the least amount first. And this is a 2-cup measure, an old sifter of Grandma's, so we're going to go ahead and put about 3 in there. Fold it in. And the only time you need dough that I ever knowed of is when you was broke, because the more you work a piece of dough, the drier it gets. So we'll get this all mixed up here well and get it rolled out here a minute on this old chuck box, and we'll make cinnamon rolls. And cut. We got this old dough sort of work like we're going to flour it a little. Make sure you keep it floured enough that you aren't sticking to your old rolling pin. Roll this out. I'd like to get, maybe 1/4, 3/8, 13, 30 seconds, however you want to get it. Roll it out in maybe some sort of a square fashion where we can really lather it up with some butter and cinnamon and sugar. And you can add nuts to this if you'd like, anything in the world. But, today we're just going to use a little cinnamon, and butter, and sugar. We've melted some butter here, and we're going to spread all over this old piece of dough and get her rubbed in really good everywhere, so we make sure we got it all on there. We're going to add a little sugar, and I can't tell you how much. You just add till you think you can't stand no more, and that'll be nearly close enough. We always liked a little sweet because they are a little different when you're cooking cinnamon rolls that has a lot of sugar in a piece of cast iron, because sugar and the amount of butter that in it cause a carbon effect to get something to burn. And so it does cook a little different than just an old biscuit. And I'm no pastry chef, but we're going to try to roll this up as good as we would an old bed roll and see what happens. The tighter you can keep it, the better it is. It'll rise a little quicker and come up. One of the things you need to learn in Dutch oven cooking, if you're cooking bread, if it's something that rises, you leave it enough room to where it can rise up, not out, because you need it to come up, not spread out. We rolled this up as tight as we could get it. We've got our butter, sugar, and cinnamon in there, and we're going to use this old hasp knife. And I like to cut them to where they're thick enough that they're going to make a pretty big cinnamon roll. We've already greased this old 10-inch oven, and this recipe will usually make anywhere from 14 to 18 cinnamon rolls, but depending on how big you want to keep them in, you can see how tight they are. That's going to help our process. And we'll let these rise till they're about doubled in size, and we'll get us some old coals out of old Bertha, and we'll cook cinnamon rolls and they'll be good. You know, we've got these old cinnamon rolls in this Dutch oven, and we're going to take them over and set them on this old trivet. We'll get us some coals out of old Bertha and place them around the outside edges and then cover that top, and she'll cook them up. And today there's not a lot of wind, so we ought to get this done in about 20 minutes probably. You know, me and old Bertha and them good coals she made, we've got these cinnamon rolls out, and you can see how light and fluffy they are. And we've mixed up a little powdered sugar and milk and a little almond extract, and we're going to do a little drizzle in here, and we'll call them good. And I guarantee you, you'll wish you had one of them. Sourdough cinnamon roll.